Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hey, I'm 43, Parker.
And do you support Trump?
I have a predicament. So I am from a demographic that is very conservative, right? The Bible Belt. So but most of my family is very liberal, and I lean more to the moderate. I've been in sales for 25 years. Um, I support less sense of entitlement. I feel like the Democratic Party, it's kind of like a Bill Maher take, right? That sense of entitlement. So I'm more to the moderate.
Okay. But
Um,
like if the election were held today, Harris versus Trump, would you still vote for Trump?
I think that I would
Okay. Alrighty. And why would you do that? Why do you still support Trump?
because I have 25 years of sales experience, and I understand there's a trade off, right? Like I understand the financial literacy aspect of it. I understand there's some social injustice by my perspective. And I know the Liberal Party is typically more concerned with social issues. Um, and that's what I typically find.
Did you know that Trump's administration is adding more to the debt than the Democrats have? If you compare the Biden administration to the Trump administration and the first administration, Trump added over 4 trillion more dollars of debt-related spending signed into law under his administration comparative to the Biden administration. We can also point to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget did an analysis over the campaign promises of each administration, the Biden administration or the Harris administration and the Trump administration, and showed on a central estimate that Harris would have added 4 trillion less over the next 10 years comparative to Trump to the debt. So it seems like Trump isn't very good for this, and also that was accounting in tariff revenue that we would get, which by the way Trump is having to give up. So we're not getting that same type of revenue. Trump is massively cutting taxes for the richest Americans. Kamala Harris would have increased taxes on the richest Americans. So that would have been a dramatic change in the budget. Now you can say that Democrats want to spend. Well, it seems like Trump's wanting to do that with the military. Seems like Trump's wanting to do that with massive tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires, and that inevitably hurts our bottom line. And that's not considered for some reason by people, but it's considered more for us providing access to healthcare, childcare, housing affordability. Like we're always going to have the money for war in this country, but we're never going to have the money to provide access to healthcare, childcare, and things that people need. It's ridiculous to me.
And I completely respect your opinion. And I'm probably not the right candidate for this debate. As I'm not a stout Trump supporter, I would vote conservative if the right individual came along. But I'm not going to go out here and say, well, blue no matter who, right? I want somebody from the conservative party to step up. And I'd like to see Tallarico. I'd like to see Tallarico make some moves so that he's there in 2028.
So if you like
Uh,
Tallarico, why wouldn't you say that you like Harris over Trump?
because I'm not blue no matter who. Usually I'm voting for the individual, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay. So like, what about Kamala Harris is worse than Trump?
I don't think she has a track record that really stands out to me. Like I was a huge Bernie Sanders supporter, right? Huge Bernie Sanders supporter, but I've watched the political process kind of fall apart as far as who I wanted to vote for over the last few years. Um, I believed in democratic socialism. I believed in a lot of those philosophies. And I feel like we missed the boat years ago. But I also feel like the liberals have really became a overly sensitive party and not a steadfast, definitive purpose. They went way too far left during the Bernie campaign. Um, and that's kind of where my stance is at. I'm sorry, I'm
So
not a
you,
stout
so
like
what
Trump
position of
supporter.
hers is too far left?
Uh, I don't believe that she is. I just don't believe that she's been fully transparent. And this is my lack of political knowledge, right? So I don't feel like she's been like fully transparent
Do you
with
think
every
Trump is more
interview that she's
transparent?
done. No, absolutely not.
Okay, so the idea
No.
that she's not fully transparent on her perspective is not a red line for you. So I don't know why you'd use that as a reason as to why you say that you couldn't support Kamala Harris, right?
Right. No, I get that. I get that. I feel like Trump lies to the American people and tells the American people he can do stuff that he
Like significantly more
thinks he
than
can
you
do.
could assign to Kamala Harris, right?
Sure, and I think that's yeah, I think that would be a valid point. So, but to leave it up to Trump or Harris, I'm kind of like, well, I don't really want Harris either.
Okay, you could say that you might not necessarily
Honestly,
want her to be the president, but she's preferable to Trump. Would you not at least acknowledge that?
I mean, I think you're trying to influence me into that direction now,
Of
but
course.
also, yeah, and respectfully, and you're educating me. I'm not coming here as a stout Trump supporter, but I'm here for you to educate me, and that's why I'm listening so much. But yeah, I would say it would probably be Harris, but without justification. I don't really have a justification for why I vote Trump. But I believe in cultural diversity. I believe in the right to protest. I believe in but I feel like there's policies that need to be put in place that nobody's bringing to the table on either side of the aisle.
Such as
Gun control. Well, gun control is one,
you want more
right?
gun control?
I want bigger background checks,
Okay, Kamala
but
Harris
I,
supports that.
yeah, and I conceptually understand why there's so much. Like, this is a valid point, and nobody ever brings it up. But the reason there's so many guns in Chicago is because they're the center of the gun trade. Why does nobody on the Democratic side ever speaks on that? They never talk about the red states that surround Chicago, that surround Illinois, but they're the center of the gun trade. And that's why there's so many guns there. And the socioeconomic suppression that's gone on for the last 80 years. But we don't talk about those talking points as Democrats. We avoid things like that are tough, like gun control, abortion. We don't talk about these things with a steadfast movement. And those are the real issues. Those are the things that need to be brought to the table to help build the Democratic Party. I feel like we avoid those issues a lot of times because they're hard to talk about. Either that or we don't have an answer or resolution.
And by the Democratic Party, who do you mean? Because I think that we talk about these things. Like I think there are plenty of individuals that talk about these things.
Well, I
Okay,
mean,
all you're really representing is that you haven't seen this, which is okay. Sure, if you haven't seen it, that's fine. But there are plenty of these conversations that do exist from the
yeah,
left.
yeah, and you're probably 100% right. I don't hear those talking points out of you. I don't hear them out of Destiny. I don't, occasionally I hear them out of Dean
When it comes
Webber.
to abortion, I talk about abortion all the time. I don't talk as much about gun control because I'm not hyper specific in my understanding about guns. But I have a very clear position on gun control that any particular gun control legislation or piece of legislation that would reduce the amount of people that are going to die, I'm going to support that, right? The only notion
Yeah,
that's protected under the Constitution of self-defense is literally like a pistol access.
right. Wow, is that true? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Never knew that. Okay, so that's why there have to be limitations on guns and what type of guns, right? I mean, obviously. But yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, I need to further educate myself. I do enjoy listening to you. I do watch you a lot. You and Dean were on once before. It was probably about a year ago. I tried to get on, my mic wasn't working. But I always watch the Jubilees. I want to see more debates like that going forward. Like, I want to see, you guys really get in front of individuals and talk about the specific issues that pertain to the American people. The war in the war in Iraq was a mistake, but also the war in Iran is a huge mistake. And it is it's hurting us badly right now. Rising gas prices, inflation. There's a lot going on in the world right
So it seems
now.
like you don't support Trump anymore.
Uh, well, I would say that I don't support him at all. I mean, mildly. You know what I mean? Like, I think January 6th was a nightmare. I don't think we talk about that enough, right? That's probably one of the worst moments in US history. But I want a business minded individual from the Liberal Party to step up. I felt like Bernie Sanders was that individual. I felt Bernie was a supporter. You don't think he was a business minded individual?
No,
Oh
no. When I
man,
think of Bernie, I don't think of business minded. And I'm sorry, I
no,
feel like that was like not what I was expecting.
well,
I thought you would say
well,
someone like Mark Cuban. Like that's what I thought you were
oh,
gonna
yeah.
say. Like, like, come on. When you think of someone
No, no,
business minded, I wouldn't first think about Bernie Sanders. That's not, when I think of Bernie Sanders, I think of someone who's advocating for access to healthcare, childcare, the needs of the population, to help out people, to provide for community. Right, that's what
yeah,
I think of when I think of Bernie Sanders. I guess I don't think of like he's business minded. That's not the
but
first thing that comes to mind.
he had a financial plan for it. He had a
Sure, I'm not
financial
disputing
plan
that. I
for
agree.
the country.
He definitely had a financial plan for things, but I guess the
But
first thing that
you
comes
know,
to mind when I think about Bernie, which I like
okay,
Bernie by the way, is not that
yeah.
he's business minded.
But
That's
no,
not the
no,
first thing that came to mind. So
dude. But it's so awesome that you brought up Mark Cuban because I've been thinking that for the last 8 years. I'd love to have somebody
I'm
like
not
him.
even saying I'm a huge fan of Mark Cuban myself.
I
I was
mean,
just that's what I expected you to say.
he got well. Mark got lucky, right? He got lucky in the stock market. Let's just call it what it is. It was a one-time instant
That's like
gratification.
every single person who's rich,
I know,
right?
I know.
Like they
Um,
all it all relies on luck.
with the exception of Warren Buffett, who
There,
has probably tons of people underneath him day trading every single day.
Yeah, but that's
Um,
because of he got lucky into a position, whether it be timing, whether it be based upon prior things that happened to them, like there were countless things. Basically, every person who's successful has to acknowledge an element of luck within the content of their success. It's not solely just their effort or their work. Once it gets to those levels of success,
yeah,
like
I,
there's
I, I would.
absolutely like there's timing there, there's like where you were located, what you were into, what you ended up learning. Like all of those things are hyper specific.
They
And
are.
that led
They
to
are.
them engaging in the actions they did, which allowed for them to gain their wealth. Or it's like they had inheritance. That's all lucky as well. Like you spawned in at a wealthy spawning point. You know?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on? Would you ever vote conservative? I know the answer to that, but do you think that you would ever there would ever be anybody that ran independent that you may vote for?
Yeah. If someone is a better candidate, regardless of their political party, I will support them.
What do you feel like this
But
country needs
it's
right
very unlikely that someone would be a conservative and be the better candidate. I don't think that that would ever really happen. But if it's possible, yeah, I'm not party or partisan. I'm not party affiliated. It's based on what their ideology is, their character, their effect on the country, what they're advocating for.
what do you feel like wow, I don't know how old you are, but do you remember I mean, were you in the Bernie Sanders like when he was running? Were you in that at all at that time?
When like in 2016?
Yeah,
No,
about
no, no,
10
no,
years ago. Okay, yeah,
no.
yeah. Okay.
I was a Trump supporter back
Nice
then.
shot.
I
Yeah.
was
You
in
were
high
a
school.
you really were a Trump supporter?
Hmm.
So you and
I
Dean
grew up in a
both
Christian conservative household.
understand. Wow, that's crazy. That's wild, man. Um, but yeah, man, really appreciate you taking out some time to talk to me. I think one major other point we don't talk about is single fathers and what they go through every
Okay.
single day,
Wait, but
man.
like, let me get us directed more into our
Yep,
conversation. So,
sure,
do
man.
you, at this point, would you still vote for Trump if the election were held today over Harris?
That's a hypothetical, but yeah, I mean, respectfully, man, I would definitely vote. I would probably vote for Harris, man.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate you coming up then. Thank you very much. I appreciate the conversation. Let's go on to the next individual.